to this month's episode of Senior Travel Adventures. And I have with me again today Lisa Watson because she is the ultimate traveler that I know. She keeps going on these wonderful trips, and I see them, and I can't wait to have her on the show. So, Lisa, thanks again for joining me today. We're going to talk all about Africa.
Thanks so much for having me, Debbie. And I'm so looking forward to telling you all about my trip to Kenya and the Great Migration.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, how long was your total trip?
3 weeks in total. And then I spent a week in Zanzibar on the beach afterwards.
Oh wow. Well, we're actually gonna cut this up probably into a couple segments because I know you have a lot to say and we have a lot of pictures to show of some beautiful animals. So, where did you start your trip?
So we started in Nairobi. We flew into Nairobi and spent the first couple of days in Nairobi touring around a little bit. We went to Nairobi National Park and saw some hippos there, some giraffes. That was our first view of the giraffes. And there were some rhinoceroses there. I'm not sure if I got any pictures of them, but that was the only rhinos that we saw during our
Really,
trip.
really. I bet the
Lots of
giraffe.
impalas.
Oh, wow. So I bet the giraffes, so I love giraffes. I mean, I hate to see them in captivity here in the zoo, but that's pretty much all we get to do. So how was it in real life?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. We had one really interesting encounter during our day in Nairobi National Park, and that was when we ran across a massive python. And I
Yikes.
actually caught him quick enough before he ran away to get a really good video shot of him.
Wow, yeah, snakes are not my thing. I do want to go to Africa, but I'm not very good with bugs, snakes, or things like that. So I don't know. We'll see. You saw, so then you, I think you went to you saw elephants, right?
Yeah.
What happened next?
So we went to a place called the David Sheldrick Elephant Orphanage. And that's where they have rescue elephants there that were found abandoned and their parents are deceased, that kind of thing. And they raise them. And so we got a chance to see them during a feeding time when they bring the out, they call them in and they come running and they feed them with baby bottles, these
Oh my
humongous
gosh.
baby bottles. They're feeding these elephants. And then they proceeded to kind of put on a little bit of a show for us, rolling around in the dirt and playing with each other and stuff like that while we were there watching them. So that was kind of neat to watch.
Well, how cool is that? I mean, elephants are just so majestic anyway, but it's wonderful. So the sanctuary there, they take them when they're orphaned or if they're found
Or if
and they
they're
don't.
injured and things
Okay,
like that as well. Yeah.
okay, that's interesting. Well, it's good. I know that there's several like that around Africa that I've heard about. So when you went to so this Sheldrake Park, that they just had elephants there, right?
Just elephants. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And at the
And
end of the day, you can have the option to adopt an elephant if you want.
oh, well,
So
I guess you
for
can't take them home with you though.
yeah. So for 50 US dollars a year, you can help them sponsor and take care of an elephant.
Really, just 50.
That's
That's
it.
really amazing.
Yeah.
And we're very well worth it. We might have to find that info and put it up at the end. So you went, and then you went to some more giraffes, right?
Yeah. So then we went from the elephant sanctuary to the giraffe sanctuary, and we went to a place called the Giraffe Center. And the Giraffe Center is located on the property of the famous Giraffe Manor, which we got a chance to see. And that's like a hotel bed and breakfast that you can stay at. It's very pricey. And what they do is you're in the upper level of the hotel and the windows are wide open. And in the morning, they sit your breakfast on the table and you're all sitting at the breakfast table, and the giraffes stick their head in the windows and they have breakfast with you.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that? Well, I'm hoping they give a little plate of lettuce or something so you can feed them while you're having your breakfast. I do remember going to the zoo and getting the lettuce leaves, and when the grandkids were little, and feeding the giraffes, and how fun that was. So the giraffe, you said it's called the what? The giraffe what?
Giraffe Center. So we went
Yeah.
to the Giraffe Center. We learned all about giraffes in a little class, a lecture that we sat in on. And then we had an opportunity to go feed the giraffes ourselves and take some selfies, which was a hilarious thing because an animal never does what you want it to do when you want it to do it.
Right.
So we
Yeah,
got some funny pictures of us attempting to take selfies with the giraffe while we were feeding them. So that was a
well,
lot of fun.
hopefully we can show that. We could show one of those here. Um, so then you went and you saw some of the real Africa.
Yeah. So we saw a few sights of Nairobi too while we were driving from here to the Buffalo Springs Reserve, which is where we had headed next. And it was funny to see some of the motorcycles on the road, I mean, super overloaded with things. There was one motorcycle carrying a box with two live goats in it, and they were just sitting there in the box while he was riding down the road. There was another one that was overloaded with bags and bags of, I believe they said it was charcoal that he was
Hmm.
carrying. And I mean, you would not believe that a motorcycle could carry that quantity of stuff. There were so many bags on it. It was funny. So we saw these kinds of things on our way to Buffalo Springs Reserve. And then we spent a day doing a couple of different game drives in Buffalo Springs Reserve. And that was where we saw our first lions. And we had an opportunity to see a lion that we were watching chasing after a cat.
A
And
cat,
yeah, well,
like
we
this
don't know.
cat?
We didn't see the cat close enough to see what kind of a cat it was, but some kind of
Okay.
a, I don't know, a bobcat or something like
Oh,
that.
like
And we could see
something.
the cat going up and down through the field as he was tearing after him. And then he gave up the hunt. He
Huh.
didn't follow it through and didn't catch him. So we were all cheering for the cat.
Right, right. Yeah, that's kind of my fear about going to Africa is I don't think I would like to see nature in real time. Um, because I am such an animal lover. So,
We saw a lot of that later on in the trip, and you'll hear about that too. But so we saw lots of
yeah.
giraffes, zebras, lots of different kinds of gazelles and things like that, and lots of birds.
Yeah, I saw some wonderful pictures of the gazelles. So I'm fascinated by the motorcycle piece though, because I think that that's a proof that where there's a will, there's a way. Especially if you're gonna ride with goats on your motorcycle. That's pretty fun. So you were able to see like some of the city life beyond, because everybody thinks about Africa in the sense of a safari or the animal life, but they kind of don't ever talk about where people live or real life. But you were able to see some of that.
Yeah, so while we were in Nairobi, we had an opportunity to see what is the second largest slums in the world, second only to the slums of India. They have the second largest slums in the world in Nairobi, and it was just unbelievable the conditions in which these people live. And our guide told us that they don't even know, the Nairobi government, how many people live there because they have births every day and the births are never registered. They
Right.
don't go to hospitals or anything like that. And so they
Hmm.
have no idea the exact numbers of how many live there.
That's pretty crazy. But again, that's reality, right? And you also were able to visit a very special place, right?
Yeah, so we went to Women's Tribe while we were in Buffalo Springs National Reserve, and it's called the Emoji Tribe, the UMOJI. And it's a tribe full of women. There are no men allowed in the community. It was created by a woman named Rebecca, who was escaping domestic violence and forced childhood marriage. And she created this community for other women that wanted to get out of similar situations. And so they're all there, sort of protecting each other and
Okay.
building a life with each other without men involved in their lives. And they do great measures to keep themselves safe from men in this community. They have huts that they live in that are made of like sticks intertwined together and mud on the side. And then on the roofs, they use cow dung because when cow dung dries, it's apparently waterproof. And the one thing we noticed about these houses is they all have steel door frames and doors that lock. And they
Really?
explained to us that that was to keep the women safe at night, because there used to be men that would come into the communities at night and have their way with the women.
Did they have any kind of outside barrier like fencing or
Yeah.
just the
Yeah. And they didn't even let our tour guide come in when they brought us in. They had to wait at the gate.
hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's I know that in those countries that there is a lot of they don't talk about it as much as maybe they should to get more information about how to help those things because there are some things you said something off camera about they marry them off as young as 9 years old, which is
Yeah.
just
Some of these
really
women come into this community and they had been forced into marriages with older men at as young as 9 years old.
wow,
This
that's really
community now
sad.
has lots of women with lots of children, and they have, as a result, created a school. So they have an elementary school. They teach them English there. We had a chance to tour the school and see some of the posters and things that they had up on the wall where they're teaching them colors and shapes and numbers and animals and English words for things. Like, they have the ABC charts up there with an apple and a ball and those kind of things. And some of the kids followed us into the school as we were touring it. And I spent a few minutes with them pointing at stuff on the posters, and they would rhyme off the English word and what it was. And there were a couple of things, I don't remember exactly what they were, but they had a different name than what we call it. And so I
Huh.
taught them the name that we call it, you know, something kind of like a garbage pail that they would say, a waste receptacle or something like that. And I'm like, no,
The
we call it
formal
a
word,
garbage
right?
pail. Yeah,
The formal.
they're teaching
Um,
them the formal words.
but
But
I know
the kids had gone through the public school to the point that they've now created a high school for them.
well,
So
that's
they've
an
got both.
interesting dynamic because then they would have the male children that would be growing up. So, is there a time frame where they're no longer able to stay in the community?
Yeah, there absolutely is. So
Okay.
once they get old enough and they have graduated from school, then they send them out of the communities to go and find work. And they
Okay.
remain out of the community for their lives. So there were young boys there, but and they also talked a little bit about, because we said, what about the 17-year-old boys? Are they, hitting on the girls? And they said, no, everything like that is frowned upon and they're taught not to. These kids are all raised as if they're siblings, and they can't date within the tribe.
Okay. All
So once
right.
they hit manhood, then they leave and they go out in the communities and start their own lives.
Okay. All right. So what happened after that? Let's go back and start back into this crazy trip that you were gone for 3 whole weeks.
So after that, we went to our first really rustic lodge. It's called Samburu Simba Lodge. And that was where I realized I kind of played in the minor leagues when it comes to traveling, because although I take 1,000 photos on a trip, I'm taking them all with my iPhone 16 Pro Max. And some of the cameras that the other guests had in this lodge were unbelievable, with lenses 2 feet long on them. And so it was kind of neat to see that. From there, we went to Lake Nakura Lodge and stayed in another lodge there. And then that is right adjacent to Lake Nakura National Park, where we did some more game drives over the course of a couple of days. There were lots of lions there.
Oh,
And we learned about some different animals called grand gazelles, a little tiny one that's a little miniature called a dik-dik. And we saw rhinos, buffalo, hippos, jackals. That was our first sign of jackals and hyenas, pelicans, flamingos, and baboons. There were even some baboons that were on the rooftop of our accommodations, which was kind of neat to see them.
Dental care in America is broken. If you need a dental implant in the States, you're looking at somewhere between $3,600 and up to $8,000, and that's per tooth. And for a full mouth restoration, you're talking somewhere between 40 and 100,000. The good news is there's a solution. That's where HebeDoc comes in. We're not a dental clinic. We're a US-based one-stop solution for affordable, safe dental care right here in Mexico without the risk.
Laguna Woods residents, there's a 70% chance you will need long-term care, yet Medicare doesn't cover it. Will you and your family be ready? Hi, I'm Mike Barrett, your Laguna Woods long-term care insurance specialist. I'm here to protect you, your family, your assets, and your lifestyle to secure your future. Call today for a free consultation at 949-525-0606.
So I wanted to briefly talk about a couple of things. They don't make you take your shoes off anymore at TSA. Now, if you were over 70 or you had TSA pre-check or global entry, typically you would not have to take your shoes off anyway. But now that's going to be across the board. No shoes off in the TSA line. Now, if they can just figure out a way to change the liquids. I know that in London Heathrow, they actually make you take your liquids out of bags and change them into their bags. And I just recently read that some of their terminals are going to a new system and they don't have that restriction anymore. I just remember that if you could not fit your liquids into their size bag, you had to toss them out, and there were multiple trash bins nearby filled to the brim with people's belongings that they couldn't take on the aircraft. So I don't know how much they're going to loosen up TSA security. Personally, I have no problem with that. I would much rather be secure on my flight, and I will do whatever needs to happen in order to be able to fly safely. So I just wanted to mention that. Another thing is about travel insurance. I wanted to talk about travel insurance a little bit. Personally, I chose to get an annual travel policy because I travel so frequently. But on my website, seniortraveladventures.net, I have a full blog on how to choose travel insurance. What kind of travel insurance do you need? What about coverages on your credit card or where you purchase your trip from? So if you're unsure about travel insurance, I would just suggest that you take a minute, go to my website, it's up on the screen, and check my blog out on how to evaluate and pick and choose travel insurance.
The Laguna Woods History Center, the only purpose-built local history archive in Orange County, has been capturing the legacy of our community since 1977. As a nonprofit dedicated to preserving today for tomorrow, we collect, conserve, and share the history of Laguna Woods Village, the city of Laguna Woods, and the surrounding Orange County region. Step into the past and connect with the present at your community archive. Whether you're curious about local milestones, searching for historical documents, or exploring treasured artifacts, the History Center is your gateway to the stories that shape Laguna Woods. The Laguna Woods History Center is a separate building adjacent to the Village Library. We are open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. or by appointment. Visit us and find your place in history.
Okay, I wanted to take a moment to talk about something with regards to visas. Now, depending on where you go in the world internationally, you may or may not need visas depending on how long you're going to stay. So my suggestion is you go to our government sites and they will tell you how to link to the government of the place that you're going to see what their visa requirements might be. For example, there was a lot of discussion about a visa called ETIAS, which was for the European Union and what they call the Schengen countries, and they kept postponing it and postponing it. At the time of filming this, it's been postponed till the end of 2026, so you do not need to worry about ETIAS until the last quarter of 2026. There is another visa called an ETA, and the ETA is for the UK. and not for Ireland, just for the UK. It's a transit visa. Now, if you don't go through border control at a UK airport, you would not need the ETA. However, if for some reason your flight got delayed or you needed to go out of the terminal and go back in, you would need the ETA. So up on the screen, we will put up the link. There's an actual app that you can put on your phone. It's a little bit cumbersome, probably going to take about 15 or 20 minutes, but you can fill it out on the government's app. It is, at the last time I checked, I think it was 16 pounds, which is about $19 US. I did mine when it first came out because they weren't sure if it was going to include transit or border control, so I just went ahead and got mine. But if you are going to be going through the UK at all, for $19 US, it would be well worth not having to worry about the stress of if your flight got delayed or you left border and had to come back through border control, you would be covered. So as far as all of these different visas, on my website, I have full information, seniortraveladventures.net. There is a full blog post that covers all types of visas, all types of considerations, including global entry, TSA pre-check, Clear. I do not have Clear yet, but I am thinking about getting it because one of my credit cards will reimburse me for it. So why wouldn't I do that? So those are a couple things that I wanted to share with you today. So if you are going to be traveling internationally, please be sure to do your research about whatever type of visas you might need for the country that you're going to.
Technology is always moving forward, and sometimes we need to move with it. If you're a resident of Laguna Woods Village still using a ComLine or FEA email address, it might be time to make the switch. Services like Gmail offer more flexibility and convenience. Access your emails anytime, anywhere, whether you're on your phone, laptop, or tablet. Stay connected no matter where life takes you. Make the switch today and keep your inbox at your fingertips.
Do you or your loved ones want to continue living at home safely, but are starting to see signs of Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's? Maybe it's recent strokes or falls. Having a caregiver at home can be the best way to keep you in home safely. Home Helpers has been providing caregivers for over 25 years. Call us today or join us at Laguna Cafe for free pie and coffee, and we'll answer your questions about caregiving. It's the first Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m., and space goes quickly, so RSVP now.
So again, I thank you for tuning in, and please be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. I am just inching along trying to gain followers. And as you know, I do this as a volunteer. I don't get money for any of this. This is a labor of love for me. But when I get more followers, I get more tools to work with on YouTube and get more traction. So please make sure you do hit that subscribe button. And take care and travel safe.